Hello there everybody, and welcome to another video. Sorry there wasn't a video yesterday, so to make it up for you guys, there's actually going to be two uploaded to the channel for today. It's going to be this one where we talk more extensively about the current patch, and there's also going to be the Q&A because after all it is that time of the week. Now, last video I put up, I did a very extensive look at the new story mission that's been added to Guild Wars 2. It was my run through it, and you'll be able to find a link in the description down below if you want to check it out. Today I'm going to talk about a lot of the other stuff that's gone into the patch. First of all, this was basically two Living World patches at once, and I've not really heard anyone talk about that fact, but it has been. Something long-term that you guys should know about what ArenaNet are doing for the game at the moment. They consider everything that's happened in the Living Story so far, plus a little bit more in the future, to be sort of like Living World Season 1. That's how they described it in a recent blog post that they put up. And this has been dealing with the story of Scarlet. People are tired of Scarlet now. The devs have been shown an awareness of this for a while. There was a post by Bobby Stein on the forums a while ago where he basically openly said, yeah, look, we understand you guys don't like this character, and really waded through some absolute hate coming from people in the forums, and I got an awful lot of respect for him for doing that. But basically, for a while, we've known that ArenaNet have understood our stance on Scarlet, and this story is coming to a close, okay? This has been Season 1, sort of the Living Story, where they try and find their feet, and I'm really happy they're doing this. This is exactly what I've wanted them to do for a while. They are sort of drawing a line under all of it. We're going to have 4 more Living World updates that conclude the Scarlet story, and they're going to take more time than they usually do to work on these updates. Now, I know what you might be thinking, that this could just be a negative thing. There's just excuses, so this could happen more and more and more. But do take their word for it. I think they want to go out on a big note. They want to have some really substantive updates for those final 4 that come out, and that's going to be the end of Scarlet. And then we enter the second season, I suppose, of the Living World. A new story, a new chance for people to get involved, to actually start caring about the story, potentially new characters, a new plot arc, and potentially about the big things that many people are asking for, the Elder Dragons, the Tengu, all that kind of really, really big topics. That's what they're going to do, and I really hope that they make it clear to the players that we're having a fresh start kind of thing. And it's not just a fresh start, but it's also everything they learned from the first year of the Living World going into the second, and really seeing it become what it could be. Because I've got to say, I think they have made a lot of improvements. Look at what started with Flame and Frost, and look at where we are now. Look at while you're playing in this current patch, doing the Nightmare End stuff. Like, it really is quite crazy to be wandering around this wrecked, ruined version of Kessex Hills and having this whole story, this whole history of things, of releases about this patch, and thinking about climbing inside the tower. It really is quite profound, and I think for the first time now they have finally tapped into what the Living Story can be. They just need to sort of start fresh now with a new story, and we'll see how that goes. So, the reason why I'm explaining this to you guys is that we're having a break, okay? So basically, a bunch of content's gone into Guild Wars 2, and they're just taking a little bit longer. Now, there will still be patches, of course, and there's going to be stuff going on, but like in terms of large Living World stuff, we're having a little bit of a break so that then they can push all 4 out, and they can be really big and really strong together, and that's going to contain answers to like the do not touch things. The main question I've had like the past 2 weeks constantly is, hey WP, what are the do not touch things? What are the do not touch things? I don't know, guys, I don't know. And that's sort of why they're good, I guess, because they're just there, right? And well, I think maybe there should be more to speculate about them, but you know, some people have done interesting ideas with ley lines and stuff, but whatever. Okay, I'm getting off topic. The current patch has a lot of stuff in it. It's basically 2 Living World releases. We have 2 sections of the Living World that were added together. There was half of it was the Winter's Day stuff, which is returning stuff from last year, and another half of it has been the Nightmare End stuff. I'm not going to go over Winter's Day for ages. I've mentioned it in many videos this week. Okay, we've got a new meta achievement category there. You're looking at stuff like Toy Apocalypse, the Winter Wonderland, the Snowball Mayhem. All of these mini-games and activities from last year have come back, okay? And there are pretty much identical achievements for a new meta that are completely unrelated to the ones last year. So if, like, last year you needed 1 more snowman to build or something, so you get the achievement and you missed it, it doesn't actually matter for this year. It's reset for everyone. So, and that also means if you did it last year, you've got a bunch of more stuff you can do. Go for those achievement points and, you know, get some more chests and stuff. So that's what's going on there, but there's also been more content added to Winter's Day, which I do want to talk to you guys about. That will have been the footage at the start of this video. This is the Doliac escorting that they've added. Basically, the story here is that Hobotron and the Bard, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, the human Bard, these two great characters, comic relief characters that ArenaNet have been doing quite well so far, people have been enjoying. These two characters who were present at South Sun, I should add, and were mainly present there for the Queen's Jubilee, where they were kidnapped, okay, and many of you guys might remember that. After all that happened and Scarlet attacked Divinity's Reach, apparently the nobles there needed like a scapegoat, needed someone to punish for all of the danger, the stuff that went down, right, because Scarlet had escaped and they needed to point the finger at someone. And that makes sense, right, to keep the public sort of at ease-ish that stuff is being done. So, unfortunately, Hobotron and the Bard took the fall, and this means that they are now in Lion's Arch, collecting donations to, like as recompense for everything that went down at Divinity's Reach, and the gold that you spend donating to these characters is supposedly to help the actual people back in Divinity's Reach. And indeed, I do mean that gold. A part of the patch is donating to these guys, donating to the funds. You know, it is the season of giving, and basically this is just a gold sink if you want it to be. You can spend, like, I think it's 3 gold. You give them 3 every time you give them a gold, you get another ding on your achievement. You do it 3 times and you got the achievement. So it's not like super expensive, but for some people, you know, it all depends how your wallet's looking. It's basically a direct trade of gold to achievement points if you really want to look at it as chorus of elements. But I quite like the idea. You can also donate other stuff related to the Winter's Day rewards, but by donating, it doesn't just go into some magical black hole and then that's that. It's actually pushing the progress of a dynamic event that's going on in Lion's Arch, right? Just think about that for a second. A dynamic event in a city. It's much like we saw with the Moa racing, but now it's like right there in the center of Lion's Arch near the Mystic Forge. And when they've got enough donations, a gift Doliac and the 2 characters too will begin to patrol through Lion's Arch to take the gifts like around Tyria, I suppose. And they're going to the Asura Gates. And you get to do this dynamic event where you are protecting the gift Doliac from the script, who are charging it, trying to steal all of the shinies. And it's a non-combat dynamic event. That's always been something Arena that's been very strict about. They wanted non-combat activities in the main cities. You know, they could have gone for the option where everybody is scaled down to level 1, and then you have combat stuff, you know, so it doesn't matter what level people are, and then you could have combat events, but they just decided not to do it. There is no such thing as combat in a city. That's why you see these ogres and everything is always allied to you. And that's the same here, but they are doing a dynamic event, and I like that because I've always felt like there should be more in the cities. I think it's kind of dumb, though, that Arena have this beautiful large city, Lion's Arch, and they add a new event to it, an opportunity to make people see a new area of Lion's Arch, and instead they just dump it right in the middle near the trading post and the Mystic Forge that everyone's seen 1,000 times. That's always upset me about Guild Wars 2, that every service is all just bundled right so close to one another, and I understand why they do it. It's because people want the convenience, but at the same time they've got such a wonderful city and so many cool places to see that I haven't had reason to go to for months, and this would have been a cool idea, but they sort of didn't. So there might be different patrols for Doliac, so I do hold my tongue slightly. I haven't seen all of them, but yeah, that's some of the new content for Winter's Day, and you can go through there and have fun with it, picking up presents, and it's pretty rewarding and just a cool little Winter's Day-ish activity to do, you know, throwing snow at things and kicking script away. Now, the other Living World category that was added, basically a sudden, sort of a big update in my eyes, there was no mention of at all. You know, you look at the release preview that they do, a lot of people were like, oh, this patch isn't going to have anything. It's got a couple of, you know, features, like the Ascended Armor that are coming in, but mostly it's just recycled stuff. Well, no, actually, they added more stuff to Winter's Day, and they added all this stuff with the Nightmare End. Keswick's Hills looks awesome now, guys. It's totally different to how it was before. I mean, the weather's sort of returned, but it looks so vibrant and bright there now, and there's these big broken ruins of this tower that have come down. There's so much of it, actually makes you think, oh wait, how did the crate get all of the material for this structure? Supposedly they cut down the trees around the lake, and there was clearly nowhere near that much wood there before, but it's all over the place, and it really is quite profound walking around this area. ArenaNet added a bunch of events, actual new dynamic events that are permanently going to be in the game, as far as I'm aware, permanently going to be in the game, where right now you are incentivized to go and play them because you've got a bunch of achievements going on. Basically, the toxic spores and towers and things are actually still going on, so you can still break those. Those aren't actually related to the meta at all, though. The meta is asking you to do a couple of new events that they've added to the game. Each one is around some kind of a boss. So there's a worm that spawns. there's an alchemist, a toxic alchemist that spawns, and a toxic spider. Or he might not be called a toxic spider, it might just be a spider. But you fight these 3 bosses and you get an achievement for killing them. And there's also a second achievement associated with each one for doing something cool during the fight. Like, so for example, the worm has an attack where he sends these shockwaves out, and if you jump over each of the shockwaves, then if you manage to jump over 5, you get the achievement. It seems like ever since the Gw2 release, ArenaNet's been like enjoying this idea of jumping over projectiles as a part of the mechanics of the game, which is cool. I wish that they'd embraced that earlier, like, because that's an extra thing. You know, you got dodging and jumping, and they're 2 valid, you know, combat mechanics. But whatever. So that's 6 achievements just based off of those events alone. There's 2 achievements that you can get from completing just the story instance. I missed both on my playthrough video. One of them is for completing all of the puzzles in there without doing any fighting at all. I messed up on the molten one. And one achievement is for completing it by fighting through all of them. So there's that. There are currently dailies going on as well, so if you don't like the sound of any of those in the category, you can actually just log in once a day and do whatever the daily is, which is basically just kill a couple of mobs. So there's that too, and there's also the Tri-Key chest, which is now a permanent fixture of Kessex Hills. As you play through Kessex Hills, all enemies, as far as I'm aware, have a chance to drop pieces of the key. You can assemble it and open this chest for pretty good loot. You know, plenty of champion boxes, a guaranteed rare, stuff specific to the patch right now. You can open the Tri-Key chest 5 times, and that's basically your meta complete. And the reward for completing the meta is another key to the chest. So it's very cool. I like it. It was an interesting living story update for me because you can complete it very quickly. The devs don't ask a lot for you to complete the Nightmare Ends. It's just go in there and have some fun. And it felt a lot to me like playing the game at launch. There weren't billions and billions of players around me because it's so easy to get the category, and I waited a couple of days before doing it. But there were plenty of players still there. And the content itself was just sort of exploring Terria. Basically what felt like a new zone almost. You know, there was lots of new stuff going on, new things to see, and there were new events that had been added with interesting components to them, and I was just there with a bunch of people and we were walking around completing dynamic events. You know, for a lot of people that's the core of what Guild Wars 2 should be, and these weren't massive zergs, they were just the right size of people. It was really chill. It was a fun experience. Maybe it's because I was very tired while playing it, but I liked the way that they did that little update. It seems to me almost that this was something, as an aside, ArenaNet were like, look, we're doing 2 weekly updates, doing 2 weekly updates. Oh, people don't like Scarlet. Okay, well, we'll sort of roll with it. Oh, you know, the living story could be a lot more than it currently is. And eventually they decided, right, let's have a little bit of a break. We'll produce a really nice conclusion to this story arc and then move on to bigger things, right? And that day that they decided they were going to do a break, they thought maybe we should add a little bit more to the patch before the break then. And then they quickly got together and they decided to do this Nightmare End stuff. It's simple stuff. It doesn't take a long time to do, but it's well designed, and they were smart about the way that all of it was done. There were a couple of rectifications, is that a word? Rectifications, that they made in a later patch to the way some of the bosses scale, but it works, and it's fun. So that's how that seems to me, and that's basically what you can expect if you go in-game and play right now. With all of that stuff out of the way, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about PvP. I've produced 2 videos this week on the current PvP changes, and I want to let you know from my personal experience now, having played the game, exactly what is going on and kind of what you should expect, because it's really not that complicated, and I can describe it very, very quickly to you all. So basically, guys, if you go in PvP right now, Glory is still there, ranks are still there. Ranks are going to be there forever, okay? They're not scrapping ranks whatsoever, but eventually your Glory, which is the currency for PvP, for people who don't know, eventually Glory is going to get deleted. So what they've done is add 2 vendors to the game, which you can go in and see right now, okay? These vendors are designed for you to spend your Glory now, so that, because it's going to get deleted anyway in a few, like a little bit down the line. Maybe when these 4 weeks start, or maybe when those 4 weeks end, right? But it's going to be somewhere down the line that your Glory gets deleted, and ArenaNet have just added this Glory sync for you so that you can spend it on something useful. Okay, and there's 2 vendors that they've added. The first vendor is basically a Winter's Day vendor, okay? He's only got Winter's Day stuff. It's those gifts that you get as rewards. Okay, and that's it. You spend Glory, you get presents. That's it. And this is actually a really important vendor for you if you've got a lot of Glory but you're not interested in much else, because those presents can earn you a lot of money. The giant presents that you can buy with your Glory from that vendor are currently worth a reasonable amount on the trading post. If you have a stack of those, you can sell that stack for when I was doing it, about 3 gold, okay? and because it costs such a low amount of glory to buy those giant Winter's Day gifts, you can earn a lot of gold, okay? Most players who have, you know, at one point maybe tried PvPing have probably got somewhere around 100,000 glory, right? 100,000 glory isn't that much. 100,000 glory is basically 100 gold right now for buying those gifts from that vendor. So, yeah, it's a lot of money, and a lot of people who are, you know, dedicated PvPers who have got 1 million glory, 2 million glory, I even heard earlier about someone who had, those guys are getting, you know, 1,000 gold, 2,000 gold. Now, the amount of money you get obviously depends on how many of these gifts are in the trading post, and in the first couple of days after the patch, a lot of people flooded the trading post with those giant gifts because it was so easy to get in PvP. But prices have slowly been going up recently, and that means you'll be getting more bang for your buck if you still haven't done that. So, yeah, you can get straight up gold very quickly from your glory. That isn't the same as just a gold reward for winning matches. This is just all the old stuff you used to play, you're actually going to get gold for, basically, now, by doing that. Buy the gifts, sell them on the trading post, or open them yourselves, whatever. Okay, so that's vendor number one. There's a second vendor too, okay? The second vendor has got nothing to do with Winter's Day stuff. It's just other cool, useful stuff ArenaNet have added to the game that you can buy for glory now. Again, this is just designed to be a glory sink for you. But the second vendor costs you both glory and gold, okay? So all the items that this person sells is actually a combination of both, right? Here's the stuff that you can buy from this second vendor, which some people won't be interested in any of it, in which case go to the first vendor and just do the presents and get your gold there. But, okay, vendor number 2 can sell you custom arena kits. These are things that cost a lot of gems. It's actually 200,000 glory for a single custom arena kit. It's a lot of glory. I don't really know anyone that's going to be that interested in this, but if you want to get one for free, ArenaNet are saying, hey, look, here's an option. There were people bitching and saying, oh, why would people want to spend money on this? PvP community is so small already, blah, 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 blah. Hey, look, you can get it in-game now. So that's cool. I had a friend of mine who was buying a bunch of stuff, and he said he accidentally bought 3 custom arena kits, wasted 600,000 glory. So try not to do that. But there's custom arena kits. There are bags, okay, in PvP, if you were a pure PvP player, you never used to be able to get 20 slot bags. You can actually buy 20 slot bags now with glory and gold as well at the same time, but really quite cheap. For me, for the first time since launch, well, for the first time ever on my Elementalist, I have a full inventory of all 20 slot bags, and it feels awesome, and I've like selected that option as well to hide bags, so it just appears as this massive block. It feels so good, guys. I sorted out my inventory. It's amazing. So, yeah, you can now get 20 slot bags and all of the other types of bags just from glory from this guy. There's also something called a mystery coffer you can buy. The mystery coffer will give you a random PvP weapon or armor piece of any rank, any type, okay? So it's like a big potluck thing. It's got nothing to do with your rank. You just buy this box and it could give you anything. There's also apparently some really ultra rare stuff that could drop out of those coffers. I personally, though, I've opened quite a lot and I've still never seen any ultra rare stuff, so do be warned. When they say it's rare, it does seem to be very, very, very rare. So there's the mystery coffer. And then lastly, there's armors, okay? You can buy PvP armors. These armors will only work in PvP. This isn't a way to spend glory and then get stuff that will work in PvE. All that stuff is happening later. This is just PvP armors if you spend glory and gold at the same time. But the reason why you'd want to do this is that these are armors that used to be exclusive to really high ranks in the game. So you can buy rank 60 armor, rank 70 armor, and rank 80 armor. You can buy the cultural stuff or the dungeon stuff. So it costs a lot, especially the cultural stuff. You can like buy cultural tier 3 for PvP, which used to require people to be rank 80, of which no player ever has gotten to. And pretty much the same for the dungeon armors too. So you can now get some of those really high-end armors, because at the end of the day they're changing the way the rewards work anyway, and this is a nice thing that you can go for in the interim. Something as well that I'd like to add to you guys that might not have been apparent, like I don't know whether ArenaNet really knew that you'd be able to do this. But even better, you can buy, like, rank 80 armor, okay? And then you can PvP salvage that rank 80 armor. And you've got a chance, it's a slim chance, and you might not get any at all, and it's a big investment, and it's a risk, but you might get a dragon token out of it. And for those who maybe watched my PvP series that I did with Matt Visual a while ago, or just know how the PvP crafting works, getting those tokens means you can craft anything from that tier. So you can get a dragon token while you are still yourself only a deer, and that dragon token will allow you to craft any dragon weapon out there or any specific piece of dragon armor. Like, it's pretty cool. So there is that option there. It's very weird. The first thing I tried to do was craft a finisher, because it used to be in PvP that you could use, say, a bear token with a consumable token and throw that in the Mystic Forge, and you would get a bear finisher out of it. But they changed the way that the finisher system works. So I thought I was going to be able to see the dragon emote maybe, or the phoenix stomp, but you can't do that. So that's the one thing you can't do, but it's pretty cool, right? So you can actually do some pretty intricate stuff with the salvaging, with the crafting at the moment in PvP. So if you guys are into that, then I've been having a lot of fun. I've been doing so much PvP lately, guys. It's one of the reasons, it's the main reason, okay, why there wasn't a video yesterday. Also, just lastly on the PvP front, just so that you guys know how in practice it actually worked, the chests that you have acquired over your many months of PvPing, perhaps, or just while you PvP now, when you salvage the items that come out of chests, all the PvP stuff now offers magic find. I had 1,003. I think it was 1,003. 1,003 PvP chests when this update went live. I spent about an hour and a half solid just sat down opening those chests up and then salvaging them. And the results of what I got in terms of magic find is on screen right now. I can't remember exactly how much luck I got from all that, but I got tons and tons and tons of mats. I got like 146 dies from opening the chests, and it bumped my magic find from like 48%, I think it was on at the start. I'm now on an 81% magic find, but I think just from those chests alone, it got me up to like 79. So like, it was a big boost for me. And if you guys have got a lot of chests, then that's how that worked. And it was actually a little bit less than I thought I was going to get, but I didn't realize the massive diminishing returns on magic find. Now I do. And of course, lastly, gold is now just coming from winning PvP matches. I've been playing a lot of PvP matches because the rank points are so high. You get 5 times rank points from playing in team arenas, guys. Try out team arenas. This is the perfect time. 5 times the rank points. You get 1,000 rank points just for a single win. Do you know that means that it's like 2 wins to get to rank 10? Seriously, 2 wins to get to rank, it's crazy. But you're also getting gold, and I said in a previous video that I thought a lot of people would reach the cap for the amount of gold you get for wins each day, because there's a cap to stop people from farming it, or like botting it at 15 gold. I've actually not reached that cap at all, so it's a nice little quality of life thing. You're now getting gold from PvP, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we're just sort of waiting for the next PvP patch from here on out. Make sure you spend all your glory, enjoy getting the gold while you can, and we'll see what ArenaNet have got in store for us in the future. And apparently do keep working on your locker, but what system they have there, who knows. Okay, so moving on. There's been so much. This is like the hugest patch ever. That's what I'm going to be calling this video. Like, there's so much going on, and like I've had barely any chance to play my NG at the same time too. It's unbelievable. Right, so Ascended Armor. Speaking about my NG, I wanted Ascended Armor for my Engineer. I really don't have too much to say on this for now because I've basically ignored my Engineer and all my World versus Worlding as soon as this patch came out. Ascended Armor, though, you guys should know the actual statistical boost for going on Ascended Armor is very marginal, like really marginal it feels. For example, if you were going for a set of Berserker's Ascended Armor, you might expect that your crit damage per piece goes from like 5% up to 6% perhaps. That's untrue. You will have the exact same crit damage stat, I'm pretty sure, 70% sure, as if you were still just on Exotic. Like, the stat change is really, really, really minor. We're talking about getting like maybe 10 points on a major stat, and that's about it. So, don't feel like it's the be-all and end-all, the end of the world if you don't go for this. It's also incredibly expensive to buy right now because so many players want the mats, and the mats are all inflated in price. Maybe wait a while. That's probably what I'm going to do before I go for Ascended Armor. And whether you like the way it looks or not is totally down to you. I quite like the way it looks, especially if you dye it in the right way. But it depends on your armor class and taste. But yeah, so there's Ascended Armor. I had a big long discussion with a friend of mine about the nature of ascended weapons and stuff. And I will say something to everyone, right? I think it's too late to complain about ascended weapons and armor and just the whole ascended system in Guild Wars 2. Because they're done with it now, okay? Whether you liked it or not, Ascended Armor, if you didn't like it, you should be celebrating now, because Ascended Armor is the end, okay? Yes, you can have your concerns that maybe ArenaNet will add another tier of gear, but I fully believe that they won't. But you can have your concerns that they might do that. But for now, Ascended armor is over. Everything is over. They will be focusing on more horizontal progression rather than vertical progression from now on. And the most we will see probably in terms of higher tiers or whatever is just going to be to do with adding more types of legendaries. Ascended armor marks the end of the inclusion of that system. I personally believe it was a really big, important thing for Guild Wars 2, that one of the main reasons why this community leaked since launch was people reached level 80. This is not unique to Guild Wars 2. They reached this MMO's level cap, decided there was nothing to do and left. Why? Because exotics were too easy to get at launch. And Ascended gear now fills that role of something that's really difficult to get. And it has drastic diminishing returns on it. And it actually incentivizes you to do all different kinds of content around the world. Like, it's a really, really smart system. And I think many new players that come into Guild Wars 2 won't be quitting at 80 anymore. They really won't, because there is such a rigid, structured process that they can go through once they hit 80 to get all those best stats. And it's very likely that with the amount of hours you spend going forward through that eventually you're going to decide you want a different spec, or you like the idea of another character entirely, or you want different stats. And then you have the option, of course, of going for a different set of Ascended equipment. Like, it just perpetuates itself. I think it's very, very smart. And this is the end of it, though. So there we go. Also, something they did mention in the patch notes, I'm not sure where, but Ascended Armor doesn't have to be crafted. Yes, it's very difficult to and expensive to get right now, but it can drop in-game, just like Ascended Weapons. This is something that if you get very lucky, the game might treat you to from dropping somewhere. And that's a really cool idea. I like the idea of these big epic drops. You don't really get that in Guild Wars 2. Like, you sometimes get skins and there's the idea of precursors, but outside of that, there's not been too much in the way of itemization for just epic, sudden, cool loot that you can get. And I think Ascended gear really works well for that. So you can get Ascended armor can drop in game. Also, really important, I wanted to say this too. This is sort of a miscellaneous armorish section. Sentinels insignias can now be bought from the guild vendor. What does this mean? This means you can now get Sentinel's armor for yourself. This is really good, outside of just the ridiculously inflated prices that otherwise existed. Now, it's from guild commendations, which means that it could take a while to get, but Sentinels is actually attainable. That makes me very, very, very happy. And also, they made a change. You know, there's these weird, rare kind of statistical sets that can't be crafted because they have, like, no equivalent gem. Well, now they can be crafted because the insignia itself can be salvaged from those items when they drop. So if you were to get it, say, in a fractal, say you get Cavalier's stuff in a fractal, you can now salvage that, and you'll get a Cavalier insignia, or a Cavalier inscription, I presume, as long as it was a weapon. So you can do that now, and that's a really cool idea. That brings it back very closely to Guild Wars 1, where you could salvage insignias and inscriptions off of stuff, but in a bit of a bizarre way, and I like that. So now these are much easier to craft for yourself without having to go to specific vendors necessarily. So there you go, guys. Those are the most, there are way more weird little things as well that have changed with dungeons, but I'm not going to mention anymore because the video is already too long. Do you know what, guys? I was now going to go into this whole thing about healing skills, the new heal skills that have been added, and different specs and stuff I've been playing with. Maybe, because that's what's been like occupying most of my time recently, maybe that'll have to be for a different video. We're quite long on this one already. So there you go. That's pretty much the patch, guys. In a nutshell, there is a new heal skill. There are 8 of them, one for every class, okay? And every single one can be traded in an interesting way. The Ellie one's very cool, actually. I didn't like it at first, but it heals you for more if you hit more enemies. And it's a blast finisher, so if it's actually brought me onto Staff, which is why you see me running Staff in this video, because you can drop a healing field, you can activate the ability, get the base heal, get a blast finish heal, and get additional heal if enemies around you. It like brings you up massive amounts of health, so it's a very cool idea. I like a lot of the new heal skills. I think they're interesting, and there's other traits and things that have changed. Diamond skin is very fun on Elementalist. You can like walk through Necromancer fear walls and hang about in plague forms and stuff, which is cool, but there's been plenty of balance changes too. I will leave it there though, guys, so for the fear of rambling for too long, thank you very much for watching. As I say, I do plan to do a Q&A today, and expect that up a little bit later, and I guess I will see you guys next time. Hope you're having fun in Winter's Day. Let me know what you think. Did you actually enjoy the new Nightmare Ends? Like, I really did. I described it as cozy, and that really does fit my experience of it. I just thought, you know, it was this relaxed, nice thing we could do in a very new feeling area, despite being a part of Keswick's Hills. I enjoyed it. I really did. So let me know what you think, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.